This is the newspaper review segment. Let's take a look at the headlines of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, major story, it's talking about residents. NAF disagree as airstrike kills scores in Kaduna. Another event, this is a replica of or close to what happened in Tudunbiri, where, there's been a bit of denial saying, people were not killed or people were killed. Now, 23 worshippers among the victims. That's according to the locals. They're saying 23 worshippers among the victims. The state government is silent on this. We only hit terrorist base. That's according to the Air Force. I mean, clearly, it's not the case since we saw what happened again in Tudunbiri. This major story you find on page 4 of the newspaper. Below the headmaster, we see local government poll, uncertainty in Rivers PDP as Fubara's allies defect to APP. Constitution review, northern, southern senators disagree on regionalism. Media Trust donates about 10 million naira to Maiduguri flood victims. Below the major story there, we see a pictorial of, what is happening in Lebanon, where people gather at the site of the assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in the city's southern suburbs in Beirut, Lebanon on Saturday. Beside the pictorial, we see bandits abduct NURTW chair, health workers, 3 kids in Kaduna. Property burnt as tanker explodes in Bayelsa State. Federal government hands over 64 CNG buses to Labour and NANS. Below that, we see heart diseases spike fuels sudden death in Nigeria. Experts identify causes and proffer solutions for this. Now, these are the stories, and you can find even more on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Now, moving on to the Punch. At the top of the page, there you'd see Naira for crude deal begins on Tuesday. This is according to Tinubu panel. Well, we hope that happens as quickly as possible. That is a promise for our 1st October. Beside that, we see 17 governors raise minimum wage panels. And we're yet to see other government emulate that gesture. Cameroon dam, NEMA crew monitors Niger and Benue rivers. Beside the headmaster, we see I have surpassed the detractors' 8-year achievements. That's according to Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State. Major story here is on October 1st protest. A policeman flashpoints, APC opposition clash on this matter. The state police commands deploy teams. Organizers insist on rally as PDP LP berates the APC. Below that, we see pictorials of Nigeria at 64, Obasanjo, Akpabio, SGF, and service chiefs grace Thanksgiving service. The federal government raises teams to avert ASU strike. Police begin probe as lion kills keeper in Obasanjo library. Constitution amendment, regional government tops 56 memoranda to the National Assembly. Now, these are the stories that you find on the Punch today. Now we have our reviewer who will be joining us virtually, Ben Sherman, to discuss these front pages, of course. Good morning. It's good to have you. Of course. All right, so let's start by taking a look at this. Now, the major story on the Daily Trust is talking about residents and NAF disagree as airstrike kills about number of people in Kaduna. What is your take on this, where locals are insisting people died, but then the Air Force are saying we don't hit communities, we only hit the terrorist base. What is your take on that?
Yeah, you see, the Air Force is up there in the skies, and the people are on the floor, on the ground, so to speak. Now, if there was some air-to-surface attacks, people on the surface of the earth are supposed to, they are always the victims, whether they are the criminals or innocent people. Therefore, it's for the Air Force, haven't done whatever they've done, their targets, if there's a misfire, it's for them to now come to the ground and begin to plot. What we saw well up there Is it the target we got? So that we don't begin to repeat too many things. It happened in Ran, Borno State. It happened in the same Kaduna State, Tudumbiri. And here again, we're talking of another sin. And usually, that of Tudumbiri, it was associated with worshippers. This one again, associated with worshippers. I think that people should, let not be too quick to judgment, but I also think that the Air Force should will do Nigerians good to speak early, very fast enough to convince Nigerians that the targets they actually meant was the same target they got, so that tension will go down.
Indeed. Indeed, and we hope to hear from the state government because they're still silent on this. But moving on to constitutional review, there's been a push on regionalism when it comes to politics of Nigeria. So northern, southern senators have disagreed on this regionalism. What is your take on this situation and back and forth?
It's actually not about the geography when it comes to development in Nigeria, because we are still going to talk about the same Nigerians. When people are saying, okay, let's go to the Republican Constitution, is it the fault of the Constitution or the operatives of the Constitution? Have we changed our attitudes? Have we changed our mannerism? Have we changed from regionalism when it comes to considering this or that? Have we, for example, I saw that the president has appointed what do you call board members of the Northwest Development Commission, and some people are saying it's just just given to one religion. So religion is still a factor. Therefore, in as much as we still have some grudges within the system or against the system, this is exactly what Nigeria will continue to be, moving in circles or just a movement without actually making a discovery of any distance. So I think it's not about the region, it is about the people. But be that as it may, if you decide to have regionalism, maybe we'll begin to look at what the fathers of democracy in Nigeria those days, the Aziks of that time, of talking of Southeast, you're talking of the Southwest, Awolowo, then you come to the North, you're talking of Ahmadu Bello and Tafawa Balewa. So you could see that they were kind of engaged in peer review mechanism, who is better in what area. If this area is better in education, how and what have they done to ensure that they are better? If this other area is better in terms of security, this other area is better in science and technology, you begin to compare notes. But again, we want to say that the sincerity of the 60s or before independence is not the same as we have today. We are talking of an overbloated population that we are not taking care of. Also, if right from the word go, we've not been taking care of our children right from birth, we begin to blame past regimes, or we begin to feel that why the last regime is always better. Why is it that in Nigeria we assess ourselves based on the past, not the future? So we should always have a tomorrow that is better than today, and even today should not be the yardstick of measurement. Let us see what we can do. Let's compare ourselves with the developed world, not thinking of the past. What happened in 1960? What happened in 2019 or something? Let's be progressive in our thinking, not retrogressive.
All right, I get where you're coming from, but then talking about a future, decision made today that would affect the future. The federal government has delivered, said it has delivered about 64 CNG buses to Labour and even the student union leaders amid the rise in fuel prices. Now, this is something that the federal government has promised for the longest time. The implementation seemed to be extra slow, but then now it's saying, of course, they have been handover of all of this. Do you have doubt when it comes to these decisions or this implementation of the CNG buses?
Yeah, you see, government in its mannerism talks faster than the action. You promise and promise and promise so that you give hope. Now, in terms of hope, this a year plus, we are just seeing that 64 buses have been released to NLC, to TUC, to NANS, talking of National Association of Nigerian Students, to run buses in campuses or something. We've seen that Labour Congress itself had fleets of these buses, NLC buses. We saw that there were some in FCT here that were attacked, Aero-5 buses. Where are they today in terms of maintenance? But this one that they say they are compressed natural gas buses, so released. We are 36 states of the Federation, now Abuja will make it 37. If you share that, 64 buses, then for a population of over 2 million people, if you were to take those 64 buses and you send them to Bayelsa, send them to maybe Yobe State, they'll serve effectively because the population is less. But when you have this kind of a humongous population, so large, with a drop in the ocean of 64 buses, and is it time for the government to hit its chest and say, oh, no, we have delivered dividends of democracy? Well, they've started somewhere, but it is such a little thing compared with the transportation needs of Nigerians.
Yeah, we hope we see, that progress now. But let's take a look at the major story of the Punch, where it's talking about October 1st protests. I want to get your take on that one. Now, so far, policeman flashpoints have been made available. There's a dispersion of different police agents in different locations of different states. And then there is the ruling party clashing with opposition party when it comes to this intended protest. What is your take on this scenario of what happened in August, beginning of August, seemingly looking like it's about to replicate itself again in the beginning of October?
Now, the organizers of this current one that is supposed to start tomorrow, they are saying that unlike the one that started 1st of August, and it was just about 10 days, that this one is going to be forever kind of a protest. And to them is going to be a win-win situation because they will neither retreat nor surrender to anybody till bad governance is ended. And I can see Showore, former presidential candidate, he's in the lead in terms of this, the leader of revolution now. The fear of this one is the fact that the organizers are not so conspicuous as the recent one. The recent one, you could see them holding, or coordinating this and that. But this one is a bit silent, and it makes it a bit dangerous and serious for government. But you could see that government is saying that they have to be controlled. So who do you control when the dissenting voices you are seeing are just so few? And when opposition political parties begin to align with those kind of planning a protest, well, it's expected of opposition. To them, the ruling government is not doing the best. And being an opposition, they feel that if they were to be in government, they'll provide better services. But my appeal to those who protest is that we should not begin to destroy public infrastructure. The last one that took place, if you check Airport Road, tires were burned. And anywhere tires were burned, you see that the road, there is always corrosion. And so soon, a pothole it starts and it begins to expand. That same good government that you want, you take the money and begin to salvage situations. When you destroy public buses, public properties, set them ablaze, I think it shouldn't be. But if you're going to do a kind of a protest, the kind of Indira Gandhi, where yes, it's a kind of a movement, silent one, you sit down, okay, we are blocking the road, we are not carrying anything, you sit down there. But even the other one, when they said people should go to National Stadium, before you reach there, the police had already blocked the place, and that could make it too dangerous. Why don't you speak with these protesters? Okay, where's your route? Okay, you begin to provide security just in case the miscreants, as it is always said, because the protesters will say there was infiltration of miscreants. Police will say miscreants took over. So let's begin to know who is who in this order.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much. Due to time constraint, of course, we have to put a stop to the show. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Ben Shamak, for joining us to dissect the front pages of the national dailies.
Thank you for having me.
All right, if there is anything that today's show has shown us is that if you're going out tomorrow for protest, please do make sure you make smart decisions, be diligent, pay attention to your environment, and make sure you are safe. Securing your country is not just on the security agencies or the organizers, it's on you as an individual. We all pray for Nigeria's growth and betterment and progress of our own country. With that, we have come to the end of today's show, and yes, the end of the month of September. We hope to see you tomorrow again. But at the top of the hour, Emmanuel Fashemi will bring you 360 Sport. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely Monday.